Well, it's that time of the year again, E3. And last year, E3 was a lot about the NX hype. Zelda was the only thing Nintendo was bringing out. We got a little bit of information on Project Scorpio. Then later after that, we got the PS4 Pro, all that good stuff. We thought the PS4 Pro was going to be released. And really, from what I've heard and a lot of people have theorized and actually heard rumors, that the Pro was going to be showed at E3, but Sony held off. But now we fast forward, and a little over a week, E3 starts up again. E3 goes from June 13th to June 15th this year, though some people and some companies start a little early. I'm going to talk about Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. The big three, not talking about all the other big companies like, EA and all the other ones like that, and Bethesda. They have their own stuff too, and they're important, but I'm talking about E3 predictions when it comes to these main consoles, because the developers, they always bring out games. It's a good thing. They usually always bring out games, and usually it does a great thing and shows off what's going to happen with all the other consoles. And with the Switch being out, well, hopefully we'll see a lot of third-party support, or at least some type of third-party support, but we'll get there. In interest, to me, it's Microsoft, and then Nintendo, and then Sony, because Microsoft is doing what Nintendo has been doing. They've been in the hype train for a while now, and now Scorpio is going to be released this year. We pretty much, almost sure, I think it's pretty much going to be a holiday release. They kept saying the specs come out, Digital Foundry's got the exclusive, and that's pretty much where Microsoft's is going to be focusing on. Now, looking at Microsoft, you've got the arduous task of bringing a new mid-cycle console out. Not a new console, a mid-cycle console, and you're trailing Sony by like half, or a little bit under, maybe a little bit more, half their sales. You also take a look at the PlayStation 4 Pro, which is sold, well, we don't know. Sony won't tell us. That tells you they're selling poorly. Microsoft stopped telling their numbers when they're selling poorly. I don't think it's more than between 1 and 2 million at most. Maybe not even 1 million. I mean, I saw some around January, some rumor numbers of a few 100,000. So now we're going to have to see what Microsoft can do. Microsoft fumbled 2013's Xbox One presentation and reveal. We all know the story. $500 price tag for an entertainment TV streaming box with Kinect. Kinect was abandoned later on. I said that. A lot of people said it. A lot of people will know it's a new future. It wasn't. And Microsoft just didn't really think that through. And Sony came out and kicked their ass. And, well, it is what it is. Phil Spencer has picked up the reins and has done a wonderful job. I'm not an Xbox fanboy, not a Sony fanboy, or Nintendo fanboy. I got all of them. Except the Pro, and I'm not getting a Scorpio either, but yeah, I think that Microsoft is going to have to do a lot with this Scorpio. Not just show it off. 4K goodness. They're going to have 4K demos. They're going to have 4K, maybe some games. Because it's going to have, it has 12 gigs of memory, 6 teraflops of power, blah, 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 blah. But here's the problem with Microsoft. They have two problems. One, how are they going to sell this system and do it well? And two, how are they going to sell even a new mid-cycle console upgrade when they don't even have exclusives? Cyrus has said this over and over and over. This is do or die time for Microsoft. I've seen lots and lots of articles talking about Microsoft is just dying out in the gaming industry. They're not dying completely. I mean, I've seen some really, I've seen those articles that are kind of exaggerating. They're not dying, but they're faltering. They're falling behind. And Nintendo fell flat on their face with the Wii U and are running a sprint now with the Switch. I'll get to them here in a second. But Microsoft truly has to come out with that Scorpio, it's got to be at a good price point, but I don't think they're going to get a price point without at least a 4 at the beginning of that. $449, $499. And if it's in that range, which I'm thinking a lot of people are thinking about it, and Digital Foundries was saying on the IGN article, they were talking to Microsoft directly, and $499 was thinking about that. And even Microsoft came out and said it's a premium device. If they don't hit that just right and they don't sell it, they're going to be in the same boat as the PlayStation 4 Pro. An okay investment that nobody gives a shit about. Or a lot of people do. And I'm not saying if you got a Pro, you enjoy it. That's great. Cyrus has a Pro. But they're not selling. And two, one of the biggest things is they got to show off games. They got to show off what makes their brand their brand. I put a video out a while back saying, what's the point of Xbox One? What's the point of a PS4? Last of Us 2, God of War, State of Decay, Horizon Zero Dawn. There's a lot more games that I'm forgetting. I'm just saying, they have exclusives. They have content that is PlayStation exclusive. It's first party exclusives. It's their bread and butter. Microsoft has faltered on their first party support to where now it's like Forza. And nothing wrong with Forza. It's just, okay, Spellbound got canceled. Then Microsoft picked up the trademark to it. And if they come back and said they revitalized the entire game and just took it and ran with it, great. But they have Crackdown 3. It's been in development hell for a while. Almost no updates. The last Halo game didn't do that well. It did okay. It had a shitty, single player campaign. And Halo has always been about a great campaign with also having good multiplayer. And they focused on the multiplayer, and it did okay. It really became kind of an afterthought. People were like, well, okay. So Microsoft's going to have to really take it up a notch. And they got to take it up a notch. And if they don't knock it out of the park, and if they can't see, if the Scorpio flops, you better mark the dates on your calendar to see when Microsoft starts failing. They may have to pull back and punt, and all that money and resources they may have to eat, and then turn around, and when the PS5 and the Xbox whatever comes out, that's going to be a bigger pill to swallow. Because I'm telling you guys, and I know I'm almost 8 minutes and I even got off Sony or talked about Sony and Nintendo yet, because Microsoft's really the biggest interest right now. Because if these mid-cycle console upgrades don't sell, both companies have got a major investment, and they're probably going to set, we may see a lot longer 8th generation, 8.5 generation with these mid-cycles. We may not see a PS5 or something to 2020 or later. So Microsoft has to bring their A game. If they don't, they're in trouble. Then we move on to Nintendo. Nintendo is not doing a presentation. It's not doing a stage presentation. They're doing their own direct. Their own direct is, let me see here again. It was June 13th. That Tuesday at 9 a.m. or 12 Eastern. 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern. And they're going to have a treehouse right after that with all this information about ARMS, Splatoon 2. It's going to be massive information about Mario Odyssey. Let's see here. Nintendo's E3 activities kick off Tuesday, June 13th at 9 a.m. Pacific with its Nintendo Spotlight E3 2017 video presentation. Available to view at e3.nintendo.com, everywhere else, YouTube probably. This presentation will offer more details about Super Mario Odyssey and other Nintendo Switch games with a focus on games launching in 2017. Now the system is out. The system is doing good. The system is selling so good, they're having to up their production to get 18 million Switches out and sold by next March. Then as long as Nintendo can get that number out there, they'll pass the Wii U in 1 year. It'll be insane. Nintendo is just got to show the games. They've got to show the first party. They got to make them look good. Not only from stuff we kind of seen, but further things. We know what's coming out. Just a huge blowout of Mario Odyssey and a little bit of ARMS Splatoon 2 is not enough. No. Now, it said on the games in 2017, but I think they're going to show more games. They got to lay the foundation for what's coming up next. But as long as they pull out games and they're doing great this year, I think they'll be fine. But also, as I say that, Nintendo does directs all through the year. So they don't have to bank, you know, this year and the next coming year. As long as they can show the games are coming out, and this year has like third-party support left and right, I think it will. It's going to have all the first-party support. Nintendo could just walk away and say, we showed you what the Switch has got. We launched it, and it's doing great. The production's up, the sales are up, and they can just walk away happy. They're competing with Microsoft and Sony, but they're not technically a direct competition. They're an alternative, and that's what's making them so appealing. So yeah, that's Nintendo for you. So I think they're going to be, I think they're going to do good. As long as they don't just come out and show the stuff we already know, and as long as they put out more information and really show us the new stuff coming out this year, and all the third-party stuff that we hope is coming out. We've heard the rumor, or not the rumors, but when the Switch launched, you know, Skyrim. I know some people say that, who cares? But a lot of these games, we got little tidbits about just lay it out. But that's just going to be out there. They'll just lay out what's coming out and lay out these other games coming, and maybe Capcom shows off more stuff, Monster Hunter Double Cross, and all this other stuff. Maybe there's going to be a Animal Crossing, a Pikmin game, Pokemon tournament. Pokken looks to be, you know, being hinted at or rumored to have a translation or a conversion. Who knows? But I think Nintendo will do great with just getting out there and showing the games and having a lot of it, and just keep that Switch train running at Mach 1 speed. Then finally, we go to Sony. And Sony really don't have to do much, except just keep showing what makes them Sony. Last of Us 2 is going to be big. We know God of War is going to be big. Maybe even though Red Dead Redemption is pushed off to 2018, maybe they'll have some spotlight on Red Dead Redemption 2. Who knows? Microsoft may have it. Sony really doesn't have to do much except games as well. But the thing about it is they may not have to do much at all and still do great. They're the kings. They're the kings of the console sales right now. They're it. 60+ million units. Period. Done. All started in 2013 when Microsoft came out there, fell flat on their face with that Xbox One reveal, and Sony has not let up. The only thing that's questionable in what they're going to do is price points on the Pro and the Slim, and also maybe VR. VR, I think, is going to falter off to the side, and they're going to try to put a little bit extra razzle dazzle on it, maybe keep it going. But I think, you know, VR is going to be a niche thing that either falls off or just kind of goes off in its own thing. What would happen if Sony came out? They're going to come out a day after Microsoft, and they say, okay, your system is $449 to $499. Our Pro is now $329, $319, $299. Maybe they eat $100 cost on it. And I've said this. These are what ifs, all in my head. Nobody said this. What if Sony just says we're banking everything on the PS4 Pro? Now it's $299, and you'll be able to get the PS4 for a small amount of time. Here it's going to be $199, and after that they're going to go away. And then they would truly force people wanting a PlayStation 4 experience to grab a cheaper 4K, even though it's not native, it has all the checkerboard. I'm not going into that technical stuff. A 4K system with a lot of power, but still also keep compatibility to the PS4, because there's like 59 million at least PS4. That's radical. That's something I don't think they're going to do. But I wonder if they're going to do something similar to push the Pro. Again, looking at this chart, or this little bit of information I got here, they got a whole day almost. Actually, they got a little over a day. They got a day and 4 hours to figure out what their E3 is going to be, if they're going to change it. Could they do something radical like that? Maybe not even discontinue the 4. Just say, you know what? $199 for the Slim, $299 for our 4K Beast. Well, Beast, I know people go, ha ha, it's not a Beast. It's, for Sony, that's the most powerful console of Sony's got. What would happen at a $499 Scorpio right here? Can't hold it. And a $299 Pro. Well, the Scorpio's got so much more power. Most third-party devs are going to make the games run similar, and then they may tweak and add a little bit of pizzazz on that extra teraflops. But look at the PS4 and the Xbox One, guys. Games have gotten to where they're so close to parity on each one of them because devs don't care to put the extra time to get that more power out of that the PS4 can do over the Xbox One. There is differences. Yes, there's performance differences, but most of the time, developers save money by making one version that runs great on the Xbox One and the PS4. With the Scorpio out and the PS4 Pro out, they'll make one that runs really good at some type of 4K native or maybe checkerboarded, and then the Scorpio maybe it will output native. But they're not going to break these first party devs are not going to break the bank and pay men and women to sit there and do custom versions. I don't think, unless Microsoft paid them. Because also they would have people, their fans going, oh my gosh, it's so better over here. You can't. Third-party devs like the one, you know, any type of new Titanfall, the newer Call of Duties, the newer Battlefields, all these other games that are like that, they're going to make their games look close to the same on both of them, with some more bells and whistles. Maybe, like I said, checkerboarded here, native 4K here. It looks nearly the same. It runs the same. Enjoy our game wherever you play. That's just something that I think is going to probably happen, though. We got to see what Sony is going to respond to Microsoft with. This is interesting. So, 17 minutes. I usually don't go this long, but this is E3 predictions. This is a big thing. Microsoft, what are they going to do? It's just all up in the, I mean, we know Scorpio is coming out, but what are they going to do? How are they going to make it work? How are they going to get the sales? Nintendo just has to come out and do a lot of games. And I do mean a lot of games and not focus on the big ones. But also, they do tree houses for all that time. They could actually keep showing, because once that hour, around, I think it's an hour of that presentation, it's not over. From that time that they start that presentation to the time their treehouse ends, that is Nintendo's key. And they may be the powerhouse that shows more games off than even Sony. And then Sony, Cyrus is right. A lot of people are right. Sony just has to show up and show great first-party and third-party games, keep pushing the PS4 brand, and that's it. But will they do something special? Will they do something interesting to push back against Scorpio? That's the biggest wild card right there. That's the biggest wild card, I think. Sony's got the biggest wild card, though. They could just do nothing and say, price cut, we're going to cut you down at the knees. Here's a 4K, very powerful console, or you could buy that big overpriced one over there, and really, without first-party support from Microsoft, you're probably not going to see all those 6 teraflops. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm going really long on this one, but it's E3. This is my big predictions, what I think is going to happen between the big 3. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Everything should have popped up the screen. Subscribe and share. And I appreciate everybody watching. All right, everybody. Peak Gamer.